From Atlanta.
Where Mr. Curry is no longer allowed on the premises of the Georgia Aquarium.
It's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Tuna of the Land.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
All right, sure. That'll work.
Well, it finally has arrived.
Another DC thing happened.
Yes, and let me say I finally figured out what DC stands for. It is destroy crap, because that's all they do in the movies.
They make some crap and then they go and then they destroy
and they
that
throw
crap.
people through it and they break stuff and they destroy crap. Yes, Aquaman had dropped a day or two ago, and so we're going to spoil it if you haven't seen it. So spoiler alert.
Major spoilers. Yeah, we're actually getting onto it. Opening weekend.
Yeah.
So
and we saw it mere moments ago.
Mere moments. So it's fresh in our cerebral
fresher,
cortex.
yes.
Which of course I will forget half the stuff anyway until you remind me. Like, oh yeah, that happened.
That thing happened. Yeah.
You know.
So overall, okay, go for it.
C minus.
Okay.
C minus. I mean, obviously, visually beautiful.
I'll go higher than that. I will go B plus.
Really?
Yeah. I
really.
Or B.
Oh, no.
B.
Go with what you feel is the way.
I think it definitely has problems. Obviously.
Yeah.
It's definitely on a better track for DC movies. Momoa is just so goddamn charming. He really carries it.
He's a handsome man. Don't think I haven't noticed.
He is a good-looking man.
I questioned my sexuality for a second and went, nope, sorry. It'd be great if that did it for me, but he'll just have to be a handsome man out there in the universe
and cool as shit. And
yeah.
So yeah, he's got that. He's got that thing. He's so effortless at it. There are. Like you said, visually beautiful. I think the underwater stuff was remarkable.
Yeah,
They
I'd be
really
curious.
did a good job.
I would not buy the Blu-ray to see the behind the scenes, but we won't get into sound traveling and all that other kind of stuff. We'll just let that.
We're
slide.
we got to get out of the physics of it.
But it's like, so you believe a guy can breathe underwater, but you have a problem with him talking underwater,
right?
That's that whole thing.
And that that I bought that. Pardon the pun, hook, line, and sinker. I bought that completely. It was too easy.
Why do you have to be so pescatarian?
Oh, that doesn't
things?
even work at all.
No,
I could buy that totally. Like the Atlantean people being able to talk underwater, and it just made it so much easier than to deal with in a movie than, like, I don't know, telepathy or
having suddenly the water come away.
Yeah.
While they're if you're in the middle of a battle, having to create like an air
pocket,
tube
through
to the next.
And how do you have a society of underwater people who can't communicate with each other?
Exactly.
It just doesn't work. And
I do like the concept that only the people of royal blood can breathe on the air. Which led to the ocean army having a little problem if you just crack their little
fishbowl helmets.
Their fishbowl helmets all of a sudden. We're going to skip around an awful lot. I'm going to say, okay, on the count of three, say your favorite thing in the film. 1, 2, 3. Black
Amber
Manta. What?
I said Amber Heard.
Oh.
No, I because she was just stunningly gorgeous in the thing.
The red hair, man.
Oof. Yeah. No, Black Manta. Yeah,
badass.
The best looking. He was great.
That costume was seriously awesome
and perfect. Dead out of the comics.
I will be very, very upset if there's not at least one good Black Manta costume at Dragon Con.
That's a tough one. That is a tough costume.
And you know what? That's the kind of thing that the people in the upper echelons of cosplay
they're going to do it.
Hey man, LED technology makes it all possible.
Oh yeah. That is not even the worst part. Just navigating with that giant
right
on your head. That's a very interesting problem that they have in the movies when they make these things, is that some of the costumes don't look like they could. I mean, they would look really stupid in real life.
Right. If you translated from the comic directly
you know, they try to do as good a job as they can. That's why the first X-Men movie, there's the joke about what should we be wearing yellow spandex, because Wolverine wears yellow spandex, and I'm amazed that they pulled that off as well as it did, because it's perfect. I mean, the costume itself was fine, but I mean the helmet makes it, and it was
and I didn't think for a second like, oh my gosh, he's so top heavy. It felt okay.
Yeah,
and of course you have to have a pretty beefy person underneath.
Yeah, that dude was good.
Right, because if you get 6 feet and 180 pounds, they're just kind of bean pulling. You got to get someone with some beef on them.
Yeah, it was a big dude.
Right, and at first I'm going, what? Why can't he just be Manta?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be black. Is there another Manta out there that you need to differentiate from?
That's just the character's name. I mean,
all right,
that's he's always been Black Manta, and he's always been. I like the fact he's not a metahuman. He's just a dude, and
he's just a dumbass
he's just a
pirate,
dude with a vendetta. And it was a little. This movie, as much good as there is in it, I think it suffers from there's a lot of tropey stuff.
Yes,
like in the direction, there was a lot of like slow turns to the camera and slow motion.
And I tell you, kind of bending one leg when you're ready to, fly or swim fast, or at the very end when Aquaman pops up and he's, I am Aquaman, and he's got that, all he had to do is hold his arms out and he'd have the Superman Jesus pose going.
And that was what they would call a splash page in comics. That is a one page, painting of what he's doing, and I like that a lot. I thought that was a really nice comic.
The thing
touch.
is, I've seen all of this before.
Right.
The second I saw her through the truck window standing, I'm like, all right, well, here's a chick now, and this will be the love interest.
Yeah.
And knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you have seen it. And part of the problem is everyone, they have to serve both sides, because you don't know anything about it. That's why you're like, well, Black Manta. He's always been Black Manta. Yes, Mira is his love interest, his queen.
What was her name? Lady blah 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 blah.
Queen Mira, or Mira.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
no, she's not queen yet.
Not queen yet, but but in the comics she is, and if you know that.
And I'm gonna tell you, either they de-aged her or she takes care of herself so well. Nicole Kidman, she could pass for 25 years old, at least at the beginning of the
She's definitely
film.
had some work done. I think they tweaked some of the early scenes. I think they tweaked.
She looked almost as good at the end
She
after
did.
20 years in the abyss.
She did.
So I'm like, I've never been ooh, Nicole Kidman's hot, except when she had
always been beautiful.
Red curly hair in the 80s. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
But she could pass, and for my, she probably is closing in on 50 now.
Oh yeah,
and she
totally.
She looked about half her age.
Yeah, she's definitely had a little work done, but
I'm just wondering if any of that was, done digitally, because they can do that.
I think in some of the flashback scenes they definitely de-aged.
Well, the dad.
Yeah, Tamora Morrison, which I don't know if you realize that, but Jango Fett is Aquaman's dad. Yeah. I was like, hey, it's Tamora Morrison.
DC's like, all right, we're gonna poach one of your guys. Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilm.
Well, that was way pre Disney.
But still, just DC's like, yeah, we're gonna cast him.
Oh yeah.
Plus, you have to, that gorgeous blend of whatever Jason Momoa is.
Yeah, it's something like that.
If it was two pale white people, like, are you kidding me? That's bullshit.
Right. that was nice. They really.
Yeah,
they really did that.
They didn't go for some,
I think he's half Hawaiian, is what he is.
Is that it? Okay.
I believe I know he grew up in Hawaii, so I mean it's some sort of what's the word? Polynesian descent.
Yeah. Okay. Well. He's a beautiful man.
Yeah, and Tamora Morrison is from like New Zealand, I think.
Yeah, okay.
So
well, there you go.
Right, but I think they did a little bit of digital de-aging with Tamora Morrison and her and Willem Dafoe, like just enough that it wasn't.
The thing is that in real life he is craggy as hell. Yeah. He looks. He's closing in on Edward James Olmos territory.
Oh yeah,
and he looks surprisingly good.
And it's always weird when he's a good guy. It's always very strange.
Yeah,
he had a quote. They asked him something about playing villains, and he's like, I don't know what you mean. And they said, well, you usually play a lot of villains. He goes, no, I don't. Everyone's righteous.
Exactly.
Everyone believes what they are doing is right, and it's like, holy shit, there's the key right there.
Exactly. You know, I'm evil. I'm going to do evil. No. You're doing right from your perspective.
I mean, even his scenery chewing Green Goblin was, he had a base of, I know what I'm doing is right, and what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. I predicted, but it didn't happen when I thought it was in the first fight inside the sub.
Yeah.
Aquaman gets hit, and he looks at him, and I went, here it goes. Oh, nope. And they waited, and then he did the, ow.
Yeah.
I just, that was one of the big problems I had with this film. Very tropey, very predictable.
Yes.
Very predictable.
Very predictable.
And there wasn't, I was hoping at the end there'd be some, major change that about they would zig where I thought they'd zag, and no, it went almost entirely according to plan.
I was kind of hoping that Mira would be the one to get the trident, like the true ruler. If they had changed the wording of it,
right?
Instead
so
of
his
the
girlfriend's
king.
the ruler, so he can come and go and be on the land and the sea. But
right
now he's the king, so
right.
it's
Well, she can still be the queen, and he can be the king by marriage,
whatever. but still,
he can. He's not the chosen one with the trident. I thought that would have been a more modern take on it, instead of he's the king, and
Well, also, I mean, apparently, he's part of what are they called? The Justice League.
Yeah.
So it's he's got to spend some time on land, unless all the future Justice League battles are under the water.
No, yeah, he comes and goes.
Exactly. So where's the king? We're unprotected. The trident.
It was a great line in one of the comics in the 90s. I want to say it was when they were doing. I want to say it was Simon Bisley's Justice League America, and it was one of the stretchy guys. It was either Plastic Man or Elongated Man, and Aquaman said something, was bitching about something, and Elongated Man said, "Don't worry, we're bound to run into a giant squid eventually."
Yeah, they definitely took Aquaman from that kind of, I don't know, namby-pamby underoos wearing guy and turned him into a major badass.
Yeah, and they, like I said, they tried that. They did that in the 90s. He looked a lot like what Momoa looks like, except for he was blonde, and that was the difference. He had the beard, he had the long hair. He was your classic Aquaman with.
Didn't he have a hook, or was that the comics?
No, in the comics he had a hook. Yeah, and that would be a. If they really want to go hardcore, that would be a thing to do, is give him the hook, even if it's like just a hook he puts on or something. But that would be an intense move.
And then all the Captain Hook jokes can start.
Yeah, of course. And I honestly think they could have gone even deeper with some, let him riff a little bit more and let him joke around.
Yeah, there
a
wasn't.
little bit
That's
more.
one thing that I was okay with, I guess. There wasn't that many, jokes.
Yeah.
That he wasn't as jokey. He definitely wasn't Iron Man jokey.
No.
At all.
No, but no one could live up to that.
Right, exactly. I think there's probably, maybe a total of 3, including the ow thing.
Yes, 4 or 5, something to that effect.
Little joke things like, okay.
And they fit. He was kind of a wild child, for lack of a better term, and was kind of an asshole, and it worked the way he did it. The
dreamed of my little brother, didn't realize he was going to be such a dick.
I did like, again, jumping around spoilers. I did like the fact that when Nicole Kidman came back at the end, and Orm, the brother, was like, "Oh crap," and she was like, "Look, I'm your mother, and I love you as well."
Right.
And it kind of de-escalated the situation. I was like, that was nice. I really enjoyed that.
Well, that would have been a major problem if, mom's back, but we never see, she has another son, so they did that.
Right.
And I thought, all right,
that's
good.
still her son.
Right, exactly. It's almost like they thought about character and what would be their motivation. She saw one son. She wants to see her husband and the other son.
Right.
And they did both of those things.
You could, speaking of that, when they threw her in the trench, and when they were going down, when you could James Wan is a horror director, and
Yeah.
you could tell by that scene with the trench monster guys with the
I like to
piranha
call
people.
it Aqua Alien.
Yeah, the piranha people.
Yeah, exactly.
And when they were like crawling all over the boat, and when they were swimming down, and there was just thousands of them,
Well,
I
yeah,
was like, "Oh, this is
it's
James
like-
Wan is in his element."
Right, it's like a school of a school of fish, for lack of a better term. They're
Yeah.
swarming just like that.
Yep.
I thought it was interesting that the beast down there guarding the trident was chatting away with him.
It's funny when you see the thing at the very end, when you see the whole big giant monster. The first thing that went through my head was
Stranger Things.
no, not at all. The first thing that went through my head was Batman's not going to like that. Batman's going to be very annoyed by it.
Especially since now, apparently, it's like, oh, Afraid of the Deep, Aquaman, we're good now. You got the trident, and so, that thing is as big as, a small city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you can control that. I was a little surprised. There was, from what I could tell, there was literally only one reference to anything else in the DCU. She said you defeated Steppenwolf and helped the men, and that was it. And I was like, okay, are we? Because there's no other, there's the flashbacks to when he was a kid, but there was no timeline as where are we in relation to Justice League.
Exactly. I honestly was hoping that the credit interstitial scene was going to be, Bruce Wayne coming in to the bar, so we tie in the timeline.
Right.
Because I thought, that would be interesting. Although, if that was the case, then he would have been the king during Justice League, and he wasn't.
Right. So all this has happened. Yeah. Justice League happened before this.
Right.
Yeah.
No, Justice League happened. Yes, Justice League happened before this.
Before
right,
this
exactly,
movie. Yeah.
exactly.
He wasn't king yet. He wasn't anything. He had to go down and get the trident or the weird fork thing.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah. What's that weird fork thing?
Yeah, which was one of the huge. I'm glad they made a reference to it, because that was a huge internet thing when Justice League came out. Everyone was like, "That's not a trident. Trident is 3. That has like 7 tines on it. What is that big giant fork thing?"
Yeah, exactly. We've been combing the desert. We ain't found shit. No, redheads. What can you do?
Yeah, it's like he pulled shit like that off. He pulled off like dopey lines like that because it's just he's so, he just was enjoying himself the whole freaking movie.
Yeah, it was interesting. And Rutger Hauer. Not Rutger Hauer, Dolph Lundgren.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Different 80s guy.
I had forgotten Willem Dafoe was in it, but I didn't know that Dolph Lundgren was in it at all. And good for him. And he was good.
He was very good.
Good, like a real role, a real character.
And from what I understand, he is in Creed too.
Yes.
Because that's the rematch between instead of Rocky and Drago, it's Creed's son and Drago's son.
Yeah.
So, I would the only Rocky film that I really like is Rocky IV, the Russian one. I think I may have even owned that one because I don't own anything else Rocky related. But I almost would like to see Creed 2 just to see what's...
I want to see both of them. I haven't seen either.
I saw the first one. I saw it. It was fine. It's... at least they're not trying to, put Stallone back in the ring at 70 years old or whatever.
He claims he's retired that character. He said it on set
so many times.
Yeah, but nobody buys it.
Rocky's back in Creed 2. He's not boxing.
Well, it was at the end of shooting of Creed 2. He said, "Yeah, I'm done."
That?
He made this big speech about how it's he's handing over the reins and it's like that this character's time now, and it was it was a little nebulous enough to be until you asked me to be in the thing.
You know what? How many farewell tours has any given band done?
All.
And then Ozzy's retired like 9 times, and then
right.
So we'll see. And of course, in the case of Elton John just started his Goodbye Yellow Brick Road tour. His farewell tour.
Yeah, 2.5 years.
It's going to last 2.5 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So
is that really?
He's going to wring out as much out of this as he possibly can.
He usually flies home to Atlanta.
Yeah, I can't believe I've never run into him.
I know. I think somebody, my stepbrother used to have a store in Phipps, and in Phipps Plaza for like a minute, and they said very often they would see him wandering around. Like,
I think Daniel Payne met him when he was working at Sugarfina.
okay,
I think I seem to recall he's met a couple of famous people working there at. I think he's at Lenox though.
yeah,
Sugarfina Lenox or Phipps?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's a candy. It's like a high end candy shop.
Then it's probably both of them.
When we went to go see the Meg, he got me some champagne gummy bears. They were delicious. But I had to have him drive because I got way too... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So where are we thinking DC Universe wise post Aquaman?
It depends on this weekend. If Mary Poppins kicks his ass, which I think it's gonna.
It's guaranteed to kick.
Well, Mary Poppins is absolutely going to be number one. But if it tanks, I mean, the only thing they've got in the pipeline right now is they've got Shazam, which is coming out in March.
I'm sorry, that just looks like a fun.
Yes,
it looks like big with.
That's exactly what it is, and that's kind of exactly what it should be. The one scene that sold me was when you see the kid. He looks like he's in a carnival, and it's Billy Batson. He's walking towards the camera. He just goes Shazam, and he turns into him. And I think that's going to be fun, and that's what they're looking for.
I sit corrected. On Friday, Aquaman made $28 million, but Mary Poppins only made $6.7 million.
But what's it made so far?
Well, I mean, they don't have the estimates for Saturday yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't think.
But I mean, they both came out like Thursday.
That is correct.
Yes. So
let's see. Yeah, we don't have the estimates for Saturday.
Well, good. Yet. $28 million is not. It's not a flop. It's not what they're hoping for, but at least it's. And we're only in Saturday, so however it does today.
Well, we don't know what the budget is. I always look to see what the budget is based on opening weekend, because that's a big.
It's saying estimated 32, close to 33. So if they get up around 50, I think they're going to be happy.
The projection for opening weekend is 40, and they're definitely going to make it.
They'll make 40 for sure.
Because I mean, that was just late Thursday and Friday to 28.
Right, and if it was
Saturday's a huge.
If they put it out a week earlier or a week later, they would have probably made 50 if they were not up against a huge Disney movie that families are going to go to.
But also keep in mind that Christmas can sometimes be a big movie time for people.
Yeah,
Thanksgiving probably bigger. You eat the big nice meal. You go out to the movies. That's something.
Yeah, we're probably going to go to see Mary Poppins on.
I gotta see Mary Poppins. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm pumped for that.
I think what happens now is they've pushed Wonder Woman 2 back.
Have they?
Yes. It's not going to be next year. It's going to be 2020.
Really?
Yeah. It's going to be spring 2020.
Good God. Then what does DC have in the pipeline for 2019?
Shazam. That's it.
Just Shazam.
Just Shazam, as far as I'm aware.
I'm guessing that. How are they going to? I mean, are they going to try to tie it into the DC universe, or just have it be its own thing? I mean, I can't exactly
The DC
imagine.
universe is very tenuous right now.
Yeah.
Is there one?
I mean, let's put it this way. Before Marvel, we never thought, oh, how does this Superman movie relate to the Batman movie? We didn't think that way. They were just their own thing.
Yeah,
and since Marvel, you're like, ooh, it connects.
We always hoped. I mean, the nerds, we always hoped.
I mean, growing up, like Batman and Superman in the same film, awesome.
Yeah,
and then we get it, not awesome.
Yes. See, here's part of the problem. This week alone, I saw Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I finished DC's Titans on the streaming app.
Yeah.
And watched the Elseworlds crossover of all the DC shows on CW. So when I said I had thoughts, I was like, I've seen some shit this week.
So that's what that stink is. You've been bathing in the DC universe.
I have, and I gotta say, Titans was really good. It was way better than I thought. The first episode was not good. It was very dark in the respect that there was a lot of blood, there was a lot of cursing, and you really couldn't see a lot of stuff because it was really actually dark. But it was a pilot, and once they figured it out and they did the show was really well done. I enjoyed it. It had a lot of stuff in it. I watch all the DC stuff, and
So I don't have to.
so you don't have to. The Elseworlds crossover, every year they do a big old crossover of all. Now there's 4 shows, and well, there's 5 technically: Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and Black Lightning. They haven't brought Black Lightning into like the other shows yet.
Black Lightning has its own show?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Season 2 we're into. And
Again, why can't he just be Lightning? Is there a White Lightning? How about he be White Lightning and the guy called Black Lightning just be Lightning?
Yeah.
Why does it always have to be the
well,
default?
because he was made in 1962 or whatever it was. He was created.
I get it. And of course, the concept of Black Lightning is just,
It's a thing.
visually,
Yeah.
it's like lightning is white, but this is Black
No,
Lightning.
I agree. Why, why does he have to be? And
So, let's put it this way: there's no new superheroes coming out that they're going to call Black something.
right.
I mean, it's like these guys got grandfathered, and it's like, okay. I mean, it wasn't
That's what the
overtly
character is.
racist back then, but
Yeah.
it was a little insensitive. We'll let it slide.
Yeah. Well, I
but
mean-
from this point forward, no more of this bullshit.
Yeah, well, Black Panther as well. Even though that's a thing, it's
There
still
are Panthers, and they are black.
There are Black Panthers.
But then again, are there white Panthers? I don't think there are, actually.
I don't think there are. I think
Then,
that's
then,
what it
then
is.
what's the point?
Yeah.
That's like calling it wet water. Like,
Yeah.
we understand the concept. Don't say that. It's a panther.
Right. Right. And so every year they do a big old giant crossover, and this one was called Elseworlds, and it was amazing. It was everything that the movies are supposed to be. It's all the characters interacting and doing stuff. It's Easter eggs aplenty. They finally, after 7 seasons of Arrow, 5 seasons of Flash, 4 seasons of Supergirl,
And a partridge in a pear tree.
they have finally acknowledged the existence of Batman. It took them this long. They couldn't massage the rights to get to the point where they could even say the name.
Really?
Really.
I mean, couldn't they allude, didn't they allude at some point, like, to your cousin? They never said Superman.
No, you didn't see him until season 2.
Right.
But yeah, he was there the whole time. Like they said Superman, your
They
cousin.
said the word Superman.
They absolutely did. Yeah, that was established.
I thought they could have said, so I heard the bat's back, instead of saying Batman.
No, they would do little obscure things like Gotham. They mentioned on Supergirl first, I think. And was really funny, just as a side note on this, like the first show was Arrow, and it was like, this is Batman without being Batman. It's the Green Arrow.
It's Batman with arrows.
Right. And in the whole first episode of the crossover, Oliver, who's the Green Arrow, just kept saying, no, Batman's an urban myth created by the Gotham Police Department. Like, he didn't believe that there was an actual Batman. And it was hilarious. It was really well done.
Speaking of Batman, apparently the Fox show Gotham is in its last final season, and apparently the kid is nowhere near, of stature enough to actually be Batman, but apparently we're going to see him as Batman before the end of the season,
which
I think is a little.
So here's the thing, I gave up on that on season 2.
I gave up. I want to say as soon as Fish Mooney came back with their fucked up eye, I went, I hate Fish Mooney. I hate that character. I'm sure, what's her name? Jada Pinkett Smith. She's a fine actress and other things. Just that character and the way she does it, I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
I stuck with it, and then I thought, oh, thank God she's gone. Oh, God, she's back. And I went, you know what? I'm over it.
I've been, keeping tabs on it and just kind of watching what's going on through previews and stuff. And
apparently, the Joker is the Joker.
Well, yes and no. The guy that evidently the guy who they kept touting as the Joker wasn't, and it was his twin brother who becomes the Joker or something.
Which is the same actor, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, and I just, the timeline of everything is just wrong. It's none of this happened while Bruce was a kid,
Right.
and it just I couldn't.
I mean,
handle
if you stuck with that timeline, by the time he's, let's say Batman, we'll call him at 30 years old.
Yeah, it was about in his late 20s.
He's fighting a, middle-aged to approaching elderly, Joker.
The only one that works for is
Poison Ivy.
Well,
Poison
Penguin.
Ivy and you're talking about the villains.
Yeah, the villains. Yeah, the Penguin was an older guy at that point. Like that made, because the classic Batman, I think, is 30 years old. I think that's where he goes.
Right around there.
And when they get, he got a little older when they brought in like Batgirl and Robin and all that stuff. And so, late 30s, early 40s, and that all works. But just the way they have it set up just doesn't work.
I mean, the kid that does Batman is very good.
Yep.
It's just that they need to end the series and then have him be the new Batman in about another 10 years.
Yeah.
Because right now he can just about kind of pass for 18.
Right.
A little on the tentative side there.
The guy playing the Penguin was amazing. The guy playing the Riddler was amazing. The girl who would be Catwoman, she was really good.
Yeah.
So it had its elements, but the writing, and I liked what's his name is Commissioner Gordon, Ben McKenzie.
Well, he was Jim
Gordon. Yeah,
Jim Gordon. I don't think he was commissioner.
No, I don't think he'll probably will at the end of the thing.
You think?
You think?
Yeah,
So going back to your question, I think I keep saying this. The guy who runs all the TV shows, they should just hand him the keys. Greg Berlanti, he should be in charge of
to the cinematic
movies.
universe.
Yeah, just let him tie it all together. And he did something really, really smart. He made it possible to tie in the movies to the TV shows. And it fits right in the DC. DC has a problem with its universe, is that DC embraced the multiverse. So there are multiple Earths, multiple dimensions. So Supergirl is not actually on the same Earth as Arrow and Flash. And they've made ways to jump between them.
And really, that is I don't want to say genius, but it's a convenient trope to be able to do things that normally people go, that's not right. Oh,
right.
They're in Earth 3
exactly.
And this happened in Earth 2.
And it's from the comics. They've done that. That's an established thing in the comics. That's how they've gotten away with some of the nonsense they've gotten with when killing off characters and bringing them back.
If I was set to write getting the TV shows and the movie stuff all lined up, I would slowly converge on a point where some great evil, like a Thanos type character, is looking to destroy, the different universes, and all our heroes escape into one and save that one, but the other ones are destroyed, thus bringing all the timelines in and having maybe some multiple Batmans for a little while. Who knows? There's things you could do there.
Which is literally exactly what they're going to do next year.
Oh, really?
Yes, pretty much. Because the Elseworlds crossover this year leads into at the end of it they tease the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is what they did in the comics.
Holy shit!
Yeah, you completely called it, which is hilarious.
It's very tropey and it's very convenient. But if you're looking to get your timeline in order, that's what you need to do.
Well, and they set in the first season of Flash, the bad guy had in his lair he had a connection to the future because he was from the future.
Yeah.
And he had a newspaper from a certain time period, and it said,
I have a connection to the past because I'm from the past.
Right, yes.
And now I'm from the past, and now I'm from the other. No, sorry.
Yeah, that's how.
And now I'm in the future.
Works, yes.
And now I'm in the future again.
There's only the present.
Oh.
And now it's philosophy.
By the time you're into the future, it's the present, and you've left the past behind. All right, I get it. All right. In the layer, newspaper that says Flash disappears in Crisis. So they've set that up since the beginning, and they've done other things. Okay.
And in this and in the crossover, it was really cool because they, for lack of a better term, Marvel-esque tag at the end of one of the episodes.
I think now, at least in the cinematic universe of Marvel and DC, if there is not something after the credits start.
Every movie
it's mandatory.
It's
I think
almost
DC says we can't do it at the
We're
very
not gonna do it.
end. We're not going to do it at the very end. We have to do it interstitially.
Yeah.
Where Marvel goes, oh, we're going to do it interstitially, and we're going to do it
4 or
at the
5
end.
of them now.
Yeah, we're going to do like the end of the Lord of the Rings or Return of the King, where it's like,
just
oh, it's
never
over.
stops.
Oh no, it's now.
No,
now it's over. Oh no, now it's
So the way they teased the beginning of this whole crossover thing was it was this battlefield, and there was a big bad guy, and they're panning over all these dead superheroes, and it was a bunch of ones we had seen in the TVs, Hawkman, and then it pans over what looks like the Green Arrow from Smallville back in the day, and then the Flash shows up to talk to fight the guy, and it was the original Flash, John Wesley Shipp,
from the
90s.
Holy shit!
Well, he's on the Flash as the father.
Right.
They put him back in the suit. So they are like tying it, and then when they went back to in one of the scenes in the Supergirl episode, they go back to her Earth. They go to Smallville. They recreated the opening of Smallville with "Somebody Save Me," like the farm, and they cut in and they have their Superman, and they introduce their Lois Lane, and it's like he is just
Tom Welly didn't show up, did
he? Not yet. I'm surprised he hasn't. He's like one of the few guys. Because that's what Berlanti does. I mean, he brings people back from, like I said, in Supergirl, her parents are Dean Cain and Helen Slater.
Right.
He does stuff like that all the time.
God, Supergirl.
It's
that film was just.
Oh no, the film is awful.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When you think, hey, you got Peter O'Toole, you've got what's her name, Faye Dunaway. You're like, all right, this could be good. No. The best thing about that movie is that Helen Slater was gorgeous, beautiful to look at. And then there was nothing else. Right. Absolutely nothing else. I mean, like, we don't want to see what's in the Phantom Zone. It's a piece of glass in space. Don't take us in there.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
And if you can get out, then why hasn't anyone? Just stop at the Phantom Zone.
Right.
Anyway, back to
so I just think he's the guy who could pull it all together.
So do you think that the muckety mucks running unquote DC have realized that, all right, we basically dropped a bunch of rocks in the pond and the ripples are going everywhere. We need to converge, straighten our timeline, and get Marvelicious on this. Do you think that's what they're going to do?
No, I don't think they are.
No?
I don't think they're smart enough. I think they're so committed to whatever they think they're doing, and they're so afraid to copy Marvel that they're not going to... They keep...
It's a concept. It's like, Volkswagen doesn't go, gosh, we shouldn't make any more cars because Chevy does it and they do cars and we do cars, so
Agreed.
we can't do that. No, you make it your own car.
Right.
You make it your own universe.
Right.
I mean, marvel the hell out of it. It's a proven, popular concept.
And it will work.
To do. So you've got all these properties, that are... pretty darn good. Obstinately, I would say that DC has a better character lineup before all this started. It's just that Marvel was smart enough to elevate characters like Iron Man and Black Widow and stuff, get them up there where they're just as popular as some of the tentpole characters.
Yeah.
So
and they did it without some of the tentpoles. We were 10, 12 movies in before we ever saw Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is arguably Marvel's biggest character.
That's in the top
and
2.
They did the whole thing without him.
Right.
And they did it like they didn't, again, going back, they didn't try to do it. They said, let's try it. And let's do one thing.
We'll try an Iron Man.
And we'll drop a little thing at the end. And it blew up, and they're like, all right, well, we'll do another one, and then we'll do a little tag. And then once they got, I don't know, 3 or 4 movies in, they were like, this is working, and now we'll plan. See, that's where that conversation happened in Marvel. 3 movies, we'll do the Avengers,
right,
and we'll put them all together.
Right. Whereas over on DC,
let's do the Justice League right now.
We've got these cool characters. Let's do a film. Let's do another film. And now let's do Justice League and introduce 2 new characters and try to get their backstories crammed into it. But,
Yeah.
Now, let's face it. I don't think Cyborg could really stand alone as its own character, but with good writing,
It could.
it very well could, because as we all know, writing is everything.
Absolutely.
The writing on Aquaman, I mean, tropiness aside, it was okay.
It was okay. It was very formulaic. It was very predictable, as you said.
And I'm that kind of dick movie, watcher that's like trying to, like, all right, so they just did that. As soon as they did that, that swishy trident thing to make the shield, I went, well, there we go. That's
the big move.
That's the crane kick at the end of Karate Kid right there.
Yeah.
And because I firmly believe, especially in these kind of films, if they show you something, it's going to be a thing later.
Well, that's a film trope. I mean, that's a film mandate almost. I forget who it was said.
I think it's Hitchcock. If you show the gun, that gun better be used by the end of the film. Exactly. So, but it's ever more so in these superhero films.
Yes. It's so it telegraphs it so much.
Exactly. It telegraphs it big time
by a lot. Yeah.
And for as far as superhero movies go, I would put Aquaman. I don't know, in the bottom of the top 3, maybe. I don't know. Wonder Woman stands as the number 1 DC as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, absolutely. And of the DC movies, it's probably just below by default, below Wonder Woman, because it, Batman Superman is not great. Yeah. Justice League is excuse me. Justice League is okay. Yeah. I want to go back and watch the Aquaman scene with Mira in Justice League again. I'm gonna pull it up when I get home just to see, okay. just to see like if they got it right, if they maneuvered it, because
like continuity.
Yeah, just because he had to go back and get the trident or the fork, whatever it was, and I want to see what he says to them, because I remember some of that dialogue and it was like, "Oh, my mother left me," and blah blah blah, and I want to see if it does like connect up well enough.
Yeah, all right. I mean, DC has a great opportunity to create. They've got arguably a better TV game than Marvel.
Oh my God.
Marvel has some great but they've canceled. They've canceled almost every Netflix Marvel show except for, I think, Jessica Jones, because they got rid of Daredevil.
Yes.
Luke Cage is canceled.
Yep.
Iron Fist.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're without those characters. That's the Defenders. Yeah, they're done.
So that's done.
So now whether it's because they just don't want to do it anymore, or because they know that Marvel DC is going to be pulling their product back, and they said, why are we going to develop this when we're going to lose the rights?
Yeah, and I think I still contend they will absolutely bring it back on the Marvel platform.
Well, they better,
or the Disney platform.
They better get stepping, because actors have contracts. It's not like, oh, that's going to be something in a couple of years. Sure, I'll
wait around.
I'll just block out that time that may or may not ever, unless you give me a contract now and pay me, then, it's difficult. So we'll see. I mean, I would say out of, all the canceled Netflix series, Daredevil and Jessica Jones were the most popular. Nobody liked Iron Fist.
Nobody. Yeah.
I mean,
and everyone thought Luke Cage was okay.
Luke Cage was okay. Luke Cage, I don't think, got a second series.
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
Yeah,
it
did. They did 2 of those.
Luke Cage got 2. Iron Fist even got 2. They went, okay, we're going to give it, and apparently it was better, but still.
Daredevil got 3, and the other ones got 2, and they did the Defenders.
Right.
As well.
I got about 1.5 episodes into season 2 of Jessica Jones and just went, is this going to be about an origin story?
I haven't even watched it yet.
Yeah. You watched the first one, though, right?
The first one, yeah. I thought the first one was brilliant.
Killgrave,
brilliant.
That was great.
Well, because it wasn't a superhero movie, or a series. It was a Survivor series, and that's what I liked about it.
With a little touch of supernatural,
sure.
stuff. But let's face it, Jessica Jones is not a superhero.
No.
She's a chick with powers that sometimes, and
I like that.
Can't be bothered.
Yeah, doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, well, yeah, and at the beginning of season 2, she's just, drinking, fucking random guys, just not, I'm just like, all right, Kristen, if that's the way you want to roll, I'll be over at 10. No.
And yeah, so the whole reason I got the DC app was to watch the the Titans show, the Teen Titans show. I was like, okay, let's do this, and it was a good deal on it, and it was worth it. It was really good. And again, they have an opportunity, and they're crushing it on TV. And Berlanti is the fucking executive producer. He's overseeing it. He's doing all the TV stuff, and it's like, guys, you're so close. You've got the guy. Let him, stop thinking of him as just television.
Let him Feige your shit.
Right. And the only advantage to that is that he's been able to, like, I remember somebody asked one of the DC bigwigs about the Martian Manhunter being in the movies, and he said something, no, we're not going to do that. That's a silly character, or something derivative.
No,
like
Martian Manhunter's badass.
Right. And Berlanti snatched his ass up and put him on Supergirl. And
is he on Supergirl?
He is.
God damn it! I told myself I wasn't going to watch a show just because a hot girl is in it, and I still stand by that. But man, if Martian Manhunter's on top of it as well,
first season is really good. Second season got a little soap opera-y. It was just she got it was just like she was pining after a dude, and it was
not a fan of Callista Flockhart in that show. She's very. What's the word? She's like a caricature of a character. Like,
right. She was doing comic book acting, but she kind of figures it out.
She was doing Jackie Gleason as what's his name? Editor of the Daily Planet.
Oh, Perry White.
Perry White.
Yeah, that's what it was. And
she was doing the Perry White thing. I was like, okay.
Yep. But Berlanti.
Oh, not Jackie Gleason.
No, Jackie Cooper.
Is Jackie Cooper?
Yeah.
Jackie Gleason.
I was like, that was a weird pull.
One of these days, Superman, right to the moon.
Right to the moon.
Okay.
Been there. So Berlanti, he went into the vaults from the beginning and was like, who can I have? And took every character who wasn't being used and made them cool.
He kind of James Gunn that shit.
Totally, 100%, but like exponentially, because he pulled one of the characters on Flash who ends up getting powers. Like he dropped him in the first season and was like, I want that guy, because I think he had done he'd either done an animated series or he had tried to do something with the character and it fell apart, and he was like, I want to do this right, and he pulled him in and used him, and he's great.
What's the character?
It's a character called Vibe, which is he's a newer. He's like it's hard to explain, but he
couldn't be any worse than Booster Gold.
Booster Gold is really, they missed an opportunity, because what they should have done is Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, another character, would do stuff together, and it was a comedy team, and it was handwritten for Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion to be Beetle and Booster. They would be so unbelievably perfect as those characters, but
no,
they never did it.
No.
So yeah, and like I said, I was trepidatious going into it because I was watch Titans, watch Elseworlds,
going into
Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was phenomenal.
That is what everybody is saying, that it was really, really, really good.
The fact that Infinity War happened makes it a remarkable achievement. Spider-Verse is almost a better movie, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
It artistically, or visually, I should say, is stunning. You literally get 4 to 5 different styles of animation on the screen at the exact same time.
Ooh, really?
CG on top of hand-drawn animation, on top of cartoony animation, on top of a photorealistic background. It's amazing, and it works beautifully.
Did they do that in 3D?
I don't know if they did or not.
Because that sounds like something that would be really interesting in 3D. And normally I don't go for 3D.
Yeah.
But the way you're describing it says, well, that might be kind of a 3D thing.
It's a fantastic movie, and they were able to pull in elements of. They get to certain points and there are like comic book panels, and it works. And you see like comic book dialogue, and it works. And then sometimes it's not there, and it works. Everything about it. And it's the Miles Morales.
Right. It sounds like they're not treating the audience as as people with a third grade education.
No,
they're actually treating them like, all right, we understand why there's dialogue bubbles here and not here,
right?
Style changes and da-da-da.
And
okay.
I won't spoil it for you or the audience, but the way they do it, like Courtney, I went and saw it with a couple friends of mine, and she was like, "There's how many spider people, and I don't understand, and I'm not going to be able to follow it." And after I saw it, I was like, "You absolutely are. You don't need to know anything about it." I don't want to say they spoon feed you, but they set it up and explain everything that's going on perfectly and elegantly, and the mechanism they use to do that is beautiful, and just I can't say enough about it.
And you know how they do that?
How's that?
They do it with writing.
They do it with writing.
The writing.
Yes.
The writing. And apparently with really wonderful visuals to augment the writing.
Gorgeous. It's getting a little criticism because there's a lot of strobe flashy things like in Incredibles 2, and there's not really a warning for that. So if you go see it and you have that's a legit thing.
I know. It's like theaters, it's like this show uses strobe.
Exactly.
And there will be a gunshot, which I hate because now I know there's going to be a gunshot.
Yeah.
So it's like, ugh.
You've taken away, but that's just rules.
Now, if I was to put on a show, whether I had a gunshot or not, I would put a sign out there that says there's a gunshot, and the person doing the curtain speech would fire the prop gun saying, and there's your gunshot. Enjoy the show.
That's hilarious.
That's what I would do.
Yes.
So,
like in the Monty Python bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now you are past them now.
Yes. And since they only appear in this monologue, you are past them now.
Yes. So that's so Spider-Verse, good.
Fantastic.
Right.
So good.
Right.
So good. I'm probably going to take Courtney and go see it again.
You know what movie people are not going to or taking their girlfriends to see?
What?
Mortal Engines, as predicted. Bomb,
like $9 million or something.
Bomb off like $100+ million budget, and apparently I did a little research. Apparently, there's a whole series of these books.
Yeah, that was the gamble. That's why they did it.
That are apparently good or popular, but the first time I saw the trailer, I went, what is the advantage to putting a city mobile? My God.
Yeah, what is going on?
Because, just driving your car around, you're like, I got to fix that, got to maintenance that. Imagine trying to move an entire city.
Well, and it looked like, from the trailer, there was no explanation as to why. It just was, that's what we do when cities move around. And it's
after the apocalypse or whatever they said, cities went on wheels. Like, why?
Are there big monsters? Is the Earth...
Exactly. It's like, are people dropping bombs randomly? You can see them coming. You can drive your city out of the way.
Is the land not stable enough to hold something? And it just doesn't make any sense.
I'm sure if you read the books, it makes perfect sense.
Totally.
And it may be explained in the film. But it wasn't in the trailer, and people went, huh?
Yeah. And
we've got to stop London. Like, what did London? What?
I mean, it looks kind of cool, but
it has Hugo Weaving as the bad guy.
Yeah, which is always good.
So I'm on board for that.
I can see the gamble. But they lost. I mean, huge. And it was Weta. It was Peter Jackson, or his production company.
His company. Well, no, I think he executive produced
I'm sure he did,
and co-wrote, and I mean he was balls deep in this one. And
man,
no. I mean, it looks like it's going to be as big a failure as Valerian and the Planet of 1,000 Cities.
Yeah,
which I actually watched on.
Did
Netflix,
you watch it? Yeah.
And my God, a piece of paper has more depth of writing, character-wise, than I mean, again, visually beautiful. Lacking in story.
That was Luc Besson, wasn't it?
That's Luc Besson.
Yeah.
First independent film that costs like $180 million to do. I mean, he got the financing for it, and apparently it's a series of
it's all comic books.
It's comic books that are very popular in Europe, especially in France.
And I think they're very old. I think they're like from the 50s or 60s, something like that. Yeah.
And
Buck Rogers-ish.
Right. It did very well in France, but the French market is just the French market.
Right, and not big.
And not, it is what it
not
is.
$180 million worth.
No. They said with marketing It's about $320 million, of which they haven't even made back half of that.
Oh no!
And Mortal Engines is
they made
it's
like
going
9
that
million
way.
or something like
The
that.
thing
opening
is
weekend.
that the payoff, if you get one of these series that clicks with people, the money you can make is staggering.
Oh yeah, the Harry
So that's
Potter
why
movies are in the
Potter
billions,
and the Marvel
Hunger,
stuff,
the Hunger
and-
Games,
right?
and
All the-
that's what it was. It's all this YA stuff. We talked about it on the when
Right.
we did the trailers. But not everything is Harry Potter. Not everything is Hunger Games.
No.
These books do sell well, but they don't all sell well.
Right, like the Golden Compass was supposed to be the start of something, and it wasn't.
And I read those books. I read all of them. I read that first trilogy, and it was really good. And I was like, oh, there's no way they'll ever do this. There's so many religious overtones and atheistic religious overtones in this. There's no way they'll make
Right.
this movie.
And if you do it true to the book, it offends moviegoers,
Right.
some moviegoers. And if you get it out there, then the people who read the books walk out of the theater going, "This piece of shit movie."
I was like, armored polar bears? I'm in. But I was like, they'll never. I don't even think I saw the movie, to be honest.
No, maybe it's in my Netflix queue.
I have read that I think the BBC is doing like a TV series of it.
Sometimes that's the better route to go. I've always said that, like The Stand. You cannot do a 2-hour Stand movie.
Right.
It's impossible. It's impossible to do. You'll end up with The Dark Tower.
Yeah.
That like what? How?
Yeah.
You
Not possible.
No, it needs to be maybe like a 3-series, 10 episode apiece.
Oh, yeah.
On HBO or
Yeah.
BBC or something like that can actually let the tension build, let the story build.
It's just such a dense story.
First time I tried reading, I was in junior high school. I got like 10 pages in. I was just like, my head hurts. I can't. And I tried. I think right around maybe, I don't know, sophomore year, I broke through and I couldn't stop reading it.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's just I kept trying at I was Hodoring that thing, and soon I just let it burst through. And like, all right, it's The Stand time.
Well, when I read it, it was still in New York, and I was taking the subway to work every day, and I reading the scenes in the subway.
How many times did you miss your stop?
It wasn't that. It was how long did I have a cold while I was watching reading that book, and just being like terrified in the subway because they're reading of all these people
Exactly.
dead in the tunnels and all that.
Oh, the tunnels.
And they're also doing, which I'm excited about, and I want to say it's it's Amazon is doing Good Omens, the Terry Pratchett Neil Gaiman book, as a series with David Tennant and a good bunch of people. It's Armageddon as seen through. It's The Omen basically seen through like a lens of a Terry Pratchett / Douglas Adams type of book.
Ooh.
It's a great book. It's
I like
really
that.
fun. Yeah. So
I'll tell you, there's a book that Gina's been reading on her Garbage Hour show. God, I can't remember the name of it now. It's basically Apocalypse South is what it's called. That's it. Apocalypse South.
I think I've heard some chapters of that.
It is literally the worst written thing about talk about stereotypes and tropes. In one scene you have like ninjas and secret. My head explodes, and I basically had to turn it off when the guy mentioned, the guy in the, he's a Rhodes Scholar. ROADS. Rhodes. I'm like, dude, did you just hear that and
Yes.
just put that? Did you have an editor?
No.
This has to be a self-publish.
Oh, of course it is.
Because there's no way any editor, any human being that has at least a third grade education would let that fly. Oh my God. I almost think it would be a fun project to take that and then rewrite it properly, But then, no, I would never do that.
No, that wouldn't be fun at all
Just
for anybody.
It's just the editor in me's going, oh God, let me fix this. It is like an open sucking chest wound. let me flush it out and suture it up and get some antibiotics in there to make, and then realize, what you have left is a deformed, horrible thing.
Yeah, just call it. Yeah.
Exactly. This is triage, baby. You ain't gonna make it.
Yeah.
Let's move on to something else. Yeah, they're rating as much literary stuff to put on the big and small screen, which is good in a way. They're not trying to do, they're still trying to do endless sequels of everything, but they're also trying to do, quote unquote, they're looking for projects that have a built-in audience already. That's what they're doing.
That's the goal, yes.
That's why you get sequels.
Yeah.
Because this did well, let's continue.
Let's do it again.
Hey, that book did well, let's do that. Trying to, write an original thing for the screen.
Very difficult.
It still happens, but man, trying to, you have to get people interested in something that has no audience to back up. You're like, oh, I like
it's
the
not
book,
guaranteed,
but I like your screenplay, but no one, there's nothing out there for them to go, all right, that's an $80 million budget. The same script based on a book would get $150 million, whereas one that was just that good, just written as a script, may never get made or get a tiny little budget. And of course, when the tiny little budget, it shows on the screen, people think it sucks, and then it doesn't do well.
Yeah.
And then blah, 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 blah.
But also, it's like people say, oh, you can't do that in a movie until somebody does it. It's always, that's why original ideas that work seem so revolutionary, is because we're force-fed so much of the same stuff over and over again, when something is just new and interesting, it seems like this huge bright light, and it's not. It's
do you remember when Memento came out and people that blew their minds?
Yeah.
Like, either you loved it or like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And like, then that's good for you.
Yeah.
We'll just, we'll put you over in the, the PG-13.
And it was a clever idea. Done well is what it was.
Exactly.
And it was, they did it on no money, but it was just done well. And that's all it is, doing an original story. That's why it seems that way. So
yeah, exactly. So, it's all rehashes until it's not.
Yeah.
And someone takes a chance on it. And that's the other thing. Something that comes out of nowhere that's a huge hit, the person who took the chance on it, they're suddenly the it person, the golden boy.
Right.
Remember Juno made Diablo Cody a household name there for a while. Mm-hmm. She hasn't done too much with that.
She's
done
a couple of other
things,
and she's got something in the pipeline. I read she's writing something right now. I can't remember what it was, but she blew up, and then.
But just because you've done something popular doesn't mean that you have to do something equally as popular every single time, or you're gonna maybe it was a fluke.
Right.
Just because you write something well once doesn't mean that all of a sudden it's going to be, your next project's going to be equally as good. Now, because of your previous success, Hollywood will take a look at it with a little bit more, potential, let's put it that way, than if you were just, going in cold.
Okay. Well, and speaking of, we have a opening weekend must go to see movie in 2019.
Oh, okay. Well, Star Wars Episode 9.
Right. That'll do fine. There's one that we have to go because they finally struck a deal and are getting a theatrical release of Terry Gilliam's Don Quixote. March 2019, The Man Who Killed Don Quixote is finally, it probably won't be around long, but it's a definite have to.
Yeah. Got to support Terry.
Terry, yes.
And I will go back and watch that Zero Theorem again, but man, for what I was awake for, I hated it. I
didn't hate it. It was fine. It was okay.
It was like somebody watched Brazil 30 years ago and wanted to do something just as kind of out there and kooky in a way.
Same guy.
Well, yeah.
Who watched it and wrote it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It kind of, it's like an echo of Brazil a little bit.
Oh, totally.
But I'm sure I missed certain key plot points because I dozed off.
Yeah.
So back to Aquaman for just a second.
Yes.
What'd you think of Monsignor Wilson as Emperor Dick?
I like the name. I thought when he wasn't yelling, he was good, but he was a little too for most of it.
The casting just it didn't seem right. He didn't feel right in that role.
Yeah.
You know?
I can see that.
I mean, maybe it's because I've seen him in such, different stuff previously.
Yeah.
But it just didn't, it didn't feel right. However, in future Aquaman properties, whether it's connected to, Justice League or another standalone, depending on how this one does.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's gonna maybe become kind of Loki-ish.
Yeah, I think
because we have Wet Thor already,
yes.
and now
Ocean Master is like a character.
God, Ocean Master.
Yeah, it's comic book names. I mean, they're dopey.
Did you notice there's at least half a dozen times I laughed out loud at a place that was not for laughing.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, oh God, this is so silly.
Yeah,
this is so silly. Okay. That's part of what dragged my rating down. There were just things where like, oh God. Instead of audibly groaning, I groaned.
Yeah.
Just kind of went, oh really? We're doing that? All right. That was a thing. But if what was the name of Patrick Wilson's character? Prince
Orm.
Yeah. Orm.
Yeah.
Orm. Looks like George Lucas is back naming characters. If Orm becomes more Loki-ish, I'm very much looking forward to in the next Aquaman property when he walks up to Aquaman and
medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the Office of Howard, and Fine. Still say he should have been Lobo. All right. Original music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube. Listen on SoundCloud. Stream us on Stitcher. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Listen on Spotify or email us, comic@billionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOC.
Audio Primate.